Hello my dear students. In today's class we are going to learn Newton's first law of motion, under which we are going to learn the following. The first thing we are going to learn in today's class is the statement of Newton's first law of motion. Okay. Then we will learn about a term which arises because of the statement of Newton's first law of motion, that is inertia, which may be of two kinds, which is of two kinds. One is inertia of rest and second inertia of motion. Then another definition can be learned after knowing the first law of motion, that is a very important concept in physics, kinematics, that is force. Okay, then after which we will also learn about components of force. Okay, so that means force being a vector quantity, we will see the direction of force, and according to the direction of force we will see what components are comprising the force. All right, so these are the things we are going to learn in today's class. So let us begin the class with stating Newton's first law of motion. So Newton's first law of motion states that if a body is at rest, okay, it will continue to be in its state of rest, or if a body is moving in a specified direction, then it will continue to move in the same state, in the same direction, unless and until it is acted upon by some external agency to act otherwise. Meaning, a body at rest, it remains at rest. Okay, as long as there is nothing acting on the body. Okay, but as soon as an external agency called force will act upon the body, then it will be acting otherwise. That means a body at rest will start moving now. So a body at rest remains at rest unless acted upon by an external force. Similarly, a body which is moving in a certain state, it will continue moving in the same direction with the same speed unless it is acted upon by some external force to act otherwise. So for a moving body, what happens? The body may accelerate if a force is acted upon on it, okay, or the body may change its direction of motion because of a force acting upon on it. Okay, that means if there is nothing acting on the body, it will remain as it was in the beginning. So unless you apply a force on a body, the body's state of rest or of uniform motion is not going to change. So that is the statement of Newton's first law of motion. Similarly, we can extend the statement for a body in motion. So let me give you the complete statement of Newton's first law of motion. If a body is in a state of rest, it will remain in the state of rest, and if it is in the state of motion, it will remain moving in the same direction with the same speed. Till when? Unless an external force is applied on it. That is the complete statement of Newton's first law of motion. Okay, so from this we have learned that you don't apply a force on a body, the body will remain in its previous state. This is a special property of any object, to remain in its previous state, be it in the state of rest or be it in the state of a uniform motion, it will remain. So this property of the body, due to which it will remain in its previous state, is only known as inertia of a body. So as I told you, we will be coming to know about two new terms after learning Newton's first law of motion. The first is a property due to which a body will remain in its previous state, that is called inertia. Okay, and after the external agencies acted upon on the body, then the body will act otherwise. So what is this external agency which will change this property of the body, which is going to affect this property of the body? That external agency is the force. Okay, so inertia can be overcome by force. In brief, that is Newton's first law of motion. So now let us learn what inertia means. Now inertia, it is the inherent property, a property which is present inside any body, okay, since the beginning. So it is the inherent property of an object by virtue of which, or due to which, it tries, it always tends or tries to retain, to remain in its previous state, okay, to retain its state of rest, or it may be moving previously, okay, so, or of motion. So this inherent property due to which a body tries to retain its previous state of rest or of motion is only called inertia of a body. Now inertia can be of two kinds. One is inertia of rest and the second one is inertia of motion. Now what is inertia of rest? Inertia of rest means the property of a body by which it will remain at rest unless an external force is acting, is applied to change its state of rest. So inertia of rest is a property of a body due to which it will try to remain in the state of rest, okay, till as long as there is no force acting on the body. Similarly, there is another kind of inertia called inertia of motion. It is the property due to which a body will try to continue its state of motion as it was in the beginning unless and until an external force is applied on the body. So these are the two kinds of inertia acting on a body. Okay, now you should know here that inertia has got a strong relationship with mass of the body. So how is inertia related to mass? So we can say that a heavy object has got more inertia. It is very difficult to lift a heavy object because it will try to remain in its state of rest. No matter how much force you apply, it will try to remain in its state of rest. Whereas it is very easy to lift a light body. That means you can easily change the state of rest of a light body into the state of motion even by the application of a small amount of force. So inertia has got a strong link with mass. We can say that inertia is directly proportional to mass. So a heavy body has got more inertia, a light body has got less inertia. Alright, so that is how we connect inertia with mass. Now let us next learn another definition which is arising because of Newton's first law of motion. The cause which is changing the state of the body, that is called force. So what is force? Force is nothing but the external agency or external cause. So force is the external cause which tends to change or changes. Sometimes you apply a force on a body, the state will not change due to some reason. So but the force will always try to change. Even if it cannot change, it will try to change. So force is the external cause which tends to change the state of rest. So which tends to change the state of rest or of uniform motion of a body. Okay, so what is it that changes the state of rest or of uniform motion of a body? It is nothing but the force, which is defined as external cause which tends to change the state of rest or of uniform motion of a body. All right. Now, force, it is a vector quantity. All right. So it has got certain direction. All right. So let us now treat the direction of force as well, apart from the magnitude of force, by trying to resolve the force into its constituent components, or by combining the components of force to get a net resultant force. All right. Now I'll give you a very simple example. There's a river. Okay. Water is flowing in this direction. That means water has got a certain velocity. Now you have a boat, all right, which needs to go from this shore to that shore. That means the boat has to move in this direction. So the force which is driving the force is in this direction. So let us have this arrow as F1. I'll put an arrow just to show that it is a vector quantity. If you just put an arrow on top of a letter, it means that this is representing a vector quantity which needs a direction for its expression. All right. But you'll see that after some time, though the boat is trying to move in a perpendicular direction straight from this end of the shore to that end, okay, of the river to that end, but you will see that instead of reaching here, after some time the boat reaches here. That means final direction of force is this way and not this way. There is a reason for that, because there is another force acting on the boat, which is the force of the river. So I will draw it here. So this is F2. Let F2 be the force due to the direction of flow of the river. So respective, if you talk about velocity, velocity of the boat is in this direction and velocity of the river is in this direction. Okay, resultant to which the forces are acting in these two directions. So we have got two forces which are making an angle equal to 90 degree with each other. Okay, now that is not important how much angle they are making with each other now, but the final direction or the destination of the boat is here. That means this is giving you the final velocity, say Vf, okay, due to the final force produced because of these two forces. So we have got a final resultant force, say Fr, because the boat has reached this point now. Okay, now how did it reach here, or what are the factors that made the boat reach here and not here? The reason is very simple. If there was no flow of river, then the boat would have gone straight. That means there would be only one force acting on the boat, and the boat would have gone straight and reached this point. Okay, or if there was no engine on the boat, okay, the boat would have flown along the direction of the river. That means there would be only one force acting on the boat, and the boat would have reached somewhere here. Okay, but there are two forces acting on the boat. One is the force driven by the engine, okay, of the boat, or the oar, whatever is driving the boat, and the other one is the force because of the river's flow. Okay, now these two forces are producing a new force which is in a new direction with a new magnitude. So the new force, say resultant or net force, can be written as vector sum of the first force and the second force, which are in two different directions. Okay, this is the resultant force because of the contribution of the first force and the second force. All right, that is why we are getting the new force in a totally new direction. All right, now why did the boat reach here, not here and not here? Okay, the point where the boat reaches or the resultant force's direction and magnitude solely depends upon the values of these two and the angle between these two forces. Okay, so let's see how we actually find out the direction of the new force because of these two constituent forces. All right, Now the resultant force can be found out by a law of addition of vectors that is called parallelogram. You should be knowing what a parallelogram is. It is a four-sided figure with two sides parallel to each other, two opposite sides parallel to each other. So that is called parallelogram law of vector addition, which we are going to apply to forces here. Now, suppose you have got one force acting on a body which is acting in this direction and the other one in this direction. Okay, I'll put an arrow just to show that they are vectors. Now, what we need to do is, before we draw the resultant, we don't know where the resultant is in the beginning. Now we have got two sides, okay, side 1, side 2. Just draw, construct a third side parallel to this F1, okay, and fourth side parallel to F2. Okay, this is the construction to find out the new resultant force. Now you should be knowing what diagonal means. Diagonal means two opposite ends, a line touching the two opposite ends. Now this is the diagonal. So first we complete the parallelogram and then we draw the diagonal. Okay, the diagonal is nothing but the resultant force. So this is how we find out the final force as a result of the addition of the two forces which are acting in two different directions. Okay, so this is the net or resultant force. Okay, so this is an example where a body is acted upon by more than one force on it. Okay, where we are going to find out the result of the two forces acting on the same body, and result will be given by the diagonal, where we find the diagonal by constructing a parallelogram, an imaginary parallelogram, by taking two sides as the forces that we already have with our data. Then we draw the diagonal and the diagonal is going to give you the resultant force. Okay, that is why the boat, instead of going straight, okay, instead of going straight where it intended to go, it was not able to go straight, where instead it was going in a slanting direction because another force was trying to pull the boat in this direction. All right, so that is all for today's class. Let me give you a brief revision of what we have done. We have learned the statement of Newton's first law of motion. A body continues to be in its previous state unless compelled by an external agency to act otherwise. And from the statement, we learned two new terms. First one was inertia. Inertia is the property by which it will try to retain its previous state. Okay. And under inertia, we have done two kinds of inertia. Number one is inertia of rest. Number two is inertia of motion. And we have also learned about force. And we finally learned, if there are so many forces acting on the same body, how are we going to treat that force? And there is a law which will help you to find the direction of the new force, that is called parallelogram law of vector addition, where our vector are the two forces. The final force will be found out by the diagonal drawn on the imaginary parallelogram. All right, that is all for today's class. See you all in the next class.